Next, I would like to invite Dr. Shiva Patil, Medical Head Asia Pharma from Sanofi. Dr. Patil will share perspectives on how AI is enabling innovation and transformation within pharmaceutical organization. Welcome, Dr. Patil. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. So my name is Shiva. I represent Sanofi here. Sanofi is one of the pharmaceutical company, which is a French-based multinational organization. We have a larger representation in India. Currently, my role is as a medical head of Southeast Asia and India. So I'm based in Singapore. It's I'm privileged to come back to India and talk about this specific topic. So I think artificial intelligence is changing everybody's life. So when you look at Sanofi globally, Sanofi has taken a mandate, which is that we are going to be a R&D driven artificial intelligence powered biopharma company, where we have a commitment to improve lives and delivering compelling growth, because you can't just improve life and if there is no financial incentive, you will not be able to bring innovation. So in our vision, it's very explicitly mentioned how we'll be driving this. I think many of you know, when we are doing a drug development, the biggest challenge is you start with 10,000 molecules. The final molecule that comes into the treatment in clinic are very few. Sometimes it is actually only one. And this has been the challenge, which is historical, hasn't been changed much. But in the last decade, because of artificial intelligence, it is rapidly improving. This is not very new since we are in 2026, but if you go back and look in the last 6 to 8 years, there has been significant efforts done to detect or look for solutions which AI can help us. So there have been couple of publications that I have put in place here, which includes, I think the one very remarkable was during COVID, the baricitinib, which is a drug which was repurposed because artificial intelligence machine was able to target and say that this medicine will work. And in fact, this was quite a life saving when patients were critically ill in ICU with they were sucking in their own lungs because there was a complete lung failure. So this drug actually saved many people's life. And in also in terms of combination of antiretroviral drugs, which individually could not help the COVID patients, but the artificial intelligence was able to show that if you combine multiple drugs, it could help. So AI has been in place since 2017-18. It has shown an impact, but how it is moving forward is interesting to look at. So today, if you look at the patient's experience and the impact that the pharmaceutical companies are driving, it's in this journey. So today we are basically looking at more patients, how can improve the patient's outcome on treatment, and how patients can remain adherent to the drugs and they have better health outcomes. But the future is about enabling the patients to detect their disease by themselves, or even those patients who struggle to get to know their disease diagnosis, such as rare disease. One of the biggest challenge that they remain undiagnosed for their ages of their life. So that's the future where most companies will be focusing. Our chief digital officer Emmanuel, and he recently talked about how Sanofi is building its own AI ecosystem, and I'll briefly summarize this, and that will set a very good set the stage for the next panel discussion. So we are not looking at one solution adopted at one place. It is a complete ecosystem, starting from drug discovery in terms of targets to eventually employees start end users and employee experience, the patients being on the drug discovery, regulatory dossier submission, then the launch excellence when the medicine is launched, introduced into the patients and the doctors. So end to end, we are mapping all the stages where AI can transform life, and that's why we name it as Sanofi AI Foundry. Foundry, I'm sure you all understand. It is a term where a factory, where workshop, the metal you bring, you shape into a size or the shape what you want to put in for the use. So here in Sanofi, we broadly categorize the usage of AI into three categories. One is a snackable AI. Snackable AI is just like an Instagram or a TikTok, where every day you can open your mobile, you have an application and information is digested for you, and AI tells you what is the next best action you can take. And I'll give an example in the upcoming slides. And there's an expert AI, which is basically a very regulated segment of our business, which is R&D, the manufacturing, innovation, and then the supply, which are very critical to ensure the supply. So those are the experts AI do it, and then followed by the Gen AI agents. So I will only focus on one example here, considering the time. So these tools have driven a significant impact for all of us. So one example I quote here is that, say, today morning I was checking, hey, I'm in Bangalore, let's look at what are the clinical sites that Sanofi is having. I can find that. And also it could give me an information whether these studies are delivering and how we are, as a Sanofi, are we performing versus the rest of the world. So it's on my tip of my finger. And this is impacting our across, whether it's coming to the commercial organization, creating the content, pushing it to the promotional and non-promotional content, all is done by the AI tool now. We are able to save more than 13 million in just 1 year. Massive computing in expert AI. And then we have the agentic AI, where we don't have the capability. We are going outside. We are collaborating with OpenAI, Formation Bio, and LI Labs. The last piece I would like to talk is not just Sanofi. Externally, if you look at the regulators, also started reviewing all the dossiers that are submitted by the pharmaceutical companies, where they are using AI to assess and approve a drug. And you can see here the FDA has already started implementing the AI tools in their practice. And there has been a recent guidance release. I think I'll take one more minute. So there has been a recent guidance release in collaboration with the EMA and FDA. When any pharmaceutical company is implementing AI in designing a drug or discovering a drug, there are 10 principles, and these principles must be adhered. And this is going to impact on the long run that how pharmaceutical industries are going to bring drugs. One example, very relevant in this part of the world, I would like to quote that this is the work I collaborated with Singapore with Precision Medicine Department, screening rare disease patients, and these patients are very difficult to diagnose in the real world, and we are able to reduce the time to diagnosis by 7 to 8 years to 2 years, and also reducing the cost of diagnosing these patients at a national level. Finally, I think the future, how Sanofi we are looking at is that the agentic AIs will do the mundane, boring tasks on crunching the data, analyzing the data, and there are humans who are spending their more time to drive impact, improve the people's life. And I encourage, I think many startups are here, so go to this website. Sanofi has collaborated with the Station F, which is a seeding platform in Europe, and many startup can apply. And then those are the problems, what problems Sanofi is trying to solve. There are problems. If your interest is matching, you can apply, and get grant, and also collaborate with Sanofi to solve those problems. So with that, I stop here, and we'll go to the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Patil. Thank you so much. I think you're also a speaker for the next panel. We would like you to stay on the stage.